The cameras flashed. The crowd froze. And just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession. Welcome to StarScope Report.
Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
For decades, the name Rob Reiner, it meant Hollywood royalty. It meant classic cinema.
Oh, absolutely. The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, and I mean, before all that, the definitive sitcom, All in the Family.
Exactly. But just a few weeks ago, that entire legacy was just overshadowed by a headline that stunned the industry. It shook every parent who read it.
Hollywood's son kills both parents. It's still hard to even say. We're talking about Rob Reiner, age 78, and his wife of 36 years, Michele Singer Reiner, who is an incredible photographer and producer in her own right.
And their lives, which were so defined by public success, political passion, they ended in, well, the most violent and private way you can imagine.
So we've got stacks of sources for this deep dive. Reports from the New York Times, CBS News, TMZ, People, all trying to make sense of what one source called a horror scene nightmare.
Our mission here is to move past that shocking headline and really unpack the truth of this story.
We want to get into the exact timeline of the crime, the profile of the suspect, their son, Nick Reiner, and the decade-long, heartbreaking family struggle with addiction that really set the stage for all of this. Okay, let's unpack this.
The discovery on Sunday, December 14th at the Reiners' home in Brentwood. It all started with something so mundane.
Right, and that's what makes it so chilling. It wasn't sirens, it wasn't a police raid. It started with a massage therapist.
That's right. Around 3:30 in the afternoon, a massage therapist shows up for a scheduled appointment. No one answers the door. They can't get a response.
So they do what anyone would do. They call the couple's daughter, Romy Reiner, who lives nearby.
And Romy, who's in her late 20s, she arrives with a roommate. And this is where the trauma just begins.
The sources report that Romy went into the house and found her father, Rob Reiner's, body.
And the specifics of what she did next, they just tell a horrifying story of shock. The New York Times and People both reported she fled the house in anguish.
Yeah, and here's the detail that just gets me. She was so traumatized by finding her father that she didn't even realize her mother, Michele, was also inside the home.
She couldn't register it.
She couldn't. It was Romy's roommate who made the 911 call. Police and paramedics, they got there fast around 3:40 p.m.
But Romy didn't find out the full truth that her mother had also been killed until the paramedics had to tell her later. I mean, can you imagine that weight? The sudden, simultaneous loss?
It's unimaginable.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's talk about the forensics. TMZ reported that authorities noted both bodies were in a state of rigor mortis. What does that tell us?
Well, rigor mortis is more than just a grim detail. It's a huge clue for the timeline. That rigidity suggests they had been dead for hours.
Right, so the crime didn't happen right before the discovery.
Not at all. The DA's office even suggested the deaths occurred the early morning hours of that Sunday. And it was confirmed. Both died from multiple stab wounds.
So, with such a violent scene, the focus very quickly narrowed. Romy, in that, initial frantic conversation with officers, she reportedly identified her brother, her 32-year-old brother, Nick Reiner.
Who live in a guest house on the property.
Exactly. Details vary on, how specific she was in that moment of shock, but the focus landed on the son immediately.
And Nick Reiner wasn't at the home when the police arrived.
No. He was found and arrested about 6 hours later, around 9:15 that night, about 15 miles away in Exposition Park near the USC campus. A rapid investigation, a rapid capture.
And that's not even the wildest part. The tragic end to this story was foreshadowed nearly a decade ago through a movie the father and son made together. Stay tuned to hear about Nick Reiner's history and the heartbreaking parental regrets that have now surfaced.
It's a truly shocking sequence of events. But to understand how we got here, you really have to look back.
And that's where this gets so heartbreakingly complex. We're moving from the horror of the crime scene to the long, really difficult history of this family. A private struggle that was, for the most part, shielded from the public eye.
And the source of that struggle was Nick Reiner's severe battle with substance use, a fight that started when he was just 14 years old.
13.
And the scale of their effort to help him is just staggering. Sources say Nick had cycled in and out of up to 18 different rehab facilities over the years.
18 rehabs. Just think about that for a second. The physical, the financial, the emotional toll that takes on a family for, more than a decade? It suggests this endless cycle of hope and then just crushing disappointment.
And the struggle became public, ironically, through their art. In 2015, Rob Reiner directed the film Being Charlie.
which Nick co-wrote.
Exactly, co-wrote. It was all about a troubled teen dealing with addiction and cycling through rehab. He was writing about his own crisis while he was still living it.
Now,
It's an impossible situation.
the ultimate example of art imitating life. But it forced this moment of really profound public reflection for his parents.
It did. The sources reveal this deep parental regret that came out when they were promoting the film. Rob and Michele Reiner actually confessed they initially listened to addiction professionals who labeled Nick a liar.
And manipulative.
Right, manipulative, instead of listening to their own son. That's the core tragedy here. Michele Reiner specifically admitted, quote, "They would tell us he's a liar, that he was trying to manipulate us, and we believed them."
And Rob reflected on it too, saying they should have trusted their son when he told them the programs weren't working for him.
The irony is just heartbreaking. These highly successful, intelligent people, they put all their trust in the system, in the professionals, only to look back and realize they'd sacrificed their own parental intuition.
And that dynamic, that constant struggle to find stability, it just kept going right up to the end. I mean, sources talk about this terrifying incident in 2018 where Nick, high on cocaine and uppers, completely trashed his parents' guest house.
They were always managing the chaos, but the chaos always came back. Which brings us to the night before the bodies were discovered, Saturday night. The couple and Nick reportedly went to a party hosted by Conan O'Brien.
And this is where the sources actually start to conflict a bit, which is often telling, Two separate sources told CBS News and People that there was a brief but loud argument between Rob and Nick at the party, and that Nick's behavior was, quote, freaking everyone out.
But then a family source disputed that. They denied any heated argument and insisted the family was accustomed to working through Nick's problems together and wasn't unusually apprehensive.
So whether it was a loud argument or just quiet tension, the narrative is the same.
Yeah.
This was a family constantly managing instability.
Ultimately, the sources paint this just painful portrait of two parents who tried everything but could never reach stability with him. One insider called it a Hollywood horror scene nightmare.
If you're loving these Hollywood twists and the deeper context behind them, make sure you subscribe to StarScope Report. We've got even crazier stories ahead, always backed by the facts.
So now let's move on to the legal fallout. The LA County DA's office, they acted very swiftly.
Yeah, they filed 2 counts of first-degree murder against Nick Reiner, and there was a special allegation of using a knife.
He's being held without bail, which really underscores how serious these charges are.
The district attorney, Nathan J. Hochman, was quoted saying they owe it to the Reiners' memory to pursue justice.
Right, and given the allegation of multiple murders, the DA has explicitly not ruled out seeking the death penalty. That just immediately elevates the legal stakes.
We also saw a delay right away. Nick's arraignment was postponed. His attorney, Alan Jackson, who's a pretty high-profile lawyer, he represented Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, right.
He said Nick hadn't received medical clearance, which, immediately brings Nick's mental health into the legal conversation.
And that's going to define the trial ahead, for sure. And here's a fascinating legal nugget that people reported on. If Nick is convicted, he could be ineligible for any inheritance from his parents' estate.
Because of something called the Slayer statute? What is that?
Yeah, it's an ancient legal principle. It's designed simply to ensure that a murderer does not profit from their crime.
So it's basically you can't kill someone and then collect their money.
Exactly. In California, if you unlawfully and intentionally kill someone, you automatically forfeit your right to inherit anything from that victim. It ensures the estate passes to the next legal heir, which would likely be his sister, Romy.
Wow. Beyond the courtroom, the shockwaves in Hollywood were just immense. Rob Reiner was one of the most beloved figures in the industry.
Oh, the grief was so widespread. Jerry O'Connell, who starred in Stand By Me, called Rob like a father. Michael Douglas said the Reiners dedicated their lives to making the world better.
And Jane Fonda, she recalled seeing them looking happy on their final night. It just adds another layer of tragedy to how sudden this all was.
It does, and the reaction also generated this really unusual political division. And we have to report this exactly as the sources laid it out. Rob Reiner was a very high-profile, lifelong Democrat and political activist.
Right. He championed marriage equality, universal preschool, a big voice on the left.
So you saw former presidents Barack Obama and Joe Biden express their heartbreak. They praised his belief in the goodness of people, his commitment to activism. Their statements were really mourning a political ally.
But the sources also captured a completely different reaction. President Trump reacted on social media by specifically attacking Rob Reiner's political views.
And the quote is pretty jarring. He attributed his death to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome.
So a personal family tragedy immediately becomes, weaponized,
Yeah.
politicized by figures across the spectrum.
It just ensures that even in death, a celebrity's political stance continues to dominate how their story is framed and consumed.
This whole deep dive is just a window into a nightmare. You have the collision of immense fame, vast resources, and this deep personal pain. We saw the timeline start with the mundane arrival of a massage therapist.
Followed by Romy's panicked flight from the house, not even realizing the full scope of the tragedy, and then the quick capture of the son miles away, just hours later.
And running parallel to that is this profound, decades-long history of addiction, cycling Nick through 18 different rehabs.
And the parents' public regrets, that's what really sticks with me, trusting professionals over their own parental instinct. This story just underscores that devastating intersection of family struggle, mental health, and addiction. Even with all the resources and love in the world, sometimes it just isn't enough.
And that leads us back to the Reiners' profound regret. They admitted they listened to professionals who labeled their son a liar instead of trusting their parental intuition. This specific regret, it highlights a much broader challenge. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, it raises a really important question for you to explore. When you're facing an addiction crisis, when does compassion cross the line into enabling? And when is structure and detachment necessary, especially in families dealing with such severe instability?
Something for you to mull or explore on your own that builds on the painful lessons of this story.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.